I am Mike St. Lawrence.
Oh,
Hi, Mike.
okay.
Okay, we are recording.
Okay, the meeting is called to order at 7:03, and Lucille has
Agreed to be
her
the moderator.
moderator. Take it away, Lucille.
All right, corrections to approval of past minutes of August 5th, 2024. No corrections or,
I didn't notice any, so I'd make the motion to accept the minutes if no one else has any.
I'll second.
All right.
Correspondence,
Yeah, the only thing that I have is a letter from the town clerk asking for next year's meeting dates, and if anybody wants to deviate from the Monday nights, we're normally, then speak up now. No, we're good with that? That's good then, okay.
About the time, would like 6 o'clock look better for?
Yeah, why do we do 7 when most other meetings are at 6:30?
What do you mean most other meetings? One other meeting
Oh,
is at
just
6:30,
EDC
which
is at
is just
6:30?
EDC.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
most of them do.
The
start at
other one
7.
I go to is at 6:30.
Well,
I get
don't
them
know, John's
confused.
the only one with the regular, would that be easier for you to be out here sooner?
It would be a little easier for me, but it, if John has a conflict, it's more important that John be able to get here than that I be able to get home early. One more night meeting in my calendar doesn't make all that much difference.
Okay, so the consensus is 6:30 if it's okay with John.
Yep.
Okay. That's all, that's all the
Yeah,
correspondence.
John does seem to get here sometimes right at 7 or a little after. I don't know if it's still coming today. So that might be a problem.
Anybody on Zoom have a problem with earlier?
I don't have a problem with, can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you.
Good, because I'm never sure which computer screen to talk to. I don't have a problem with either of those starting times. Most of the town meetings that are official town government start at 7 o'clock, don't they?
Yes, our friend Brian Lafredo assumed that because the only other meeting he attends happens to be at 6:30, that therefore all the meetings were at 6:30, but they do
Yeah.
mostly. at 7.
Yeah. EDC is kind of not a town department, but I could do either one. I don't have any problem with either one, but 7 o'clock seemed to be the standard.
I'm just listening to this for a few minutes to see what they're talking about the airline trail, and I'm out of here.
Okay,
You,
get there soon, Becky.
to take a look at my tip too.
we have to make a
Oh,
motion.
yes.
Okay, all right, we're on to finances.
I don't have a new, there's just been some little gas expenditures. I haven't asked for a new printout of them, so it's the same thing as it was last time. Except whatever is coming in on Turkey Trot, but that doesn't show up
A
yet.
little early, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to citizens' comments.
I do have a citizen here, Jim Bellavance, representing the Lions Club, asked to attend the meeting to see what this is about. He expressed some interest in the Lions Club helping us out with trail maintenance or just getting involved. So do you have anything?
I'm more interested in me getting involved.
Mhm.
Hopefully in about 4 months, it'll be retired, so. So I walk the air trail twice a day, every morning and every evening. And in the springtime, it's nice and wide and you can walk through. This time of the year, you're ducking and all this stuff. And the trail is maybe like 3-4 feet wide, and where in the spring, it's early summer, it was probably 10 feet wide. And I would like to be able to try to maintain some of this, cut back a lot of stuff, and just make it a nicer place for people to walk. I mean, we've got people from Rhode Island, Massachusetts. But I mean, Sunday, I think there was like 9 or 10 cars out there, which I thought was awesome.
What
So
about in the trail
just-
you walk?
I'm
What
sorry?
about, what section are you walking
The one on Riverside Drive.
on Riverside Drive?
Yeah, near the other,
Mechanicsville?
yeah, the Mechanicsville
Oh.
Trailhead.
We haven't been able to mow.
And I don't know who went in about a month, or was it you guys?
Probably me.
Usually it's John
It was
and
like-
Paul.
I mean, it was so overgrown at that point in time. I was like, I'm trying to figure out, and then all of a sudden I saw it mowed and I was so excited. That it was mowed a little bit, but I mean, we could really make that into a really nice spot. Just by putting a little extra effort into it, and I have no problem. My problem is I have equipment that's for a very tiny little yard, so everything's a little electric this, a little electric that. But that's one of my big things that I would like to really get involved in a lot. And I'm also interested in helping out with whatever else you guys got going on in town. So
Cool.
that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, well, we got the equipment. You know, it's the bodies that's always an issue.
I guess.
Are you interested in joining the committee or just helping with a volunteer crew when John puts people together to go out to the trail?
I don't know, whatever you guys need, the only thing is I right now is my real busy season for my business.
Mhm.
So between now and springtime, but in the springtime, I'd love to be able to just go gangbusters. And really, I try to pick up a lot of the trash that's there. Also, if you walk on the sidewalk, adjacent with the air trail, there's all kinds of bottles and all kinds of stuff. So a lot of times my wife and I will go out there with a plastic bag and, get rid of some of this stuff. I just want it to be a place where somebody from out of town comes in and said, oh, isn't this a nice place to, even if we had maybe a couple of benches where you could sit down, whatever,
It's funny you say that because that's one of the things I was advocating for when I first joined the committee was benches, but we've never really gotten around to that. We've done a couple of mounting blocks for the horses, and we've been very involved with the train wreck park and the development of that and buying the equipment to maintain the trail ourselves, as the town has lost the manpower and time to be able to do it for themselves. So we've stepped up, and again, John and Paul have been the drivers of that. I help out when I can. Charlie helps out when he can. Paul's retired, John has other commitments, so it sometimes gets hard for him to get out there and get things organized for us. And
Didn't we wanted to put benches in, and didn't DEP say something about, because we had to put cement posts to put them in, and same thing as when, what's her name, wanted to do the.
But I think we can readdress that, because whatever, maintenance agreements are being worked on.
with the task force and stuff.
Yeah, well, we say we wanna do benches, so what I was just gonna say is, picking up garbage and taking litter off the trails and stuff is fine. If you're gonna do chainsaw work or something, you should not be out there alone.
Oh, well, it's not.
Okay.
I-
Okay, and
It's not that bad.
No, but also if we're doing any work that's major, we need to clear it with the state.
I'm sorry?
It's a state-owned property, and so
Okay.
our mandate is to clear it through Connecticut DEP before we do anything.
I'm just
Major.
talking about weed whacking.
Okay, so, okay.
That's basically what I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel.
But I mean, if I can share your contact information with the people on the committee,
Oh, yeah.
and then they will maybe reply back to you, and so you
No,
have theirs.
I would like to get involved with.
Great.
I heard somebody say reinventing the wheel. And the thing about the wheel is that it comes around. You're coming around to some of the same issues that many of us have been working on. And it's great to have a enthusiastic new volunteer coming in. whatever you want to do, you're welcome. And we do have larger equipment and larger work that might make it easy for you to maintain in between if you're coordinating. That's all sounds like really great stuff. Did I hear you're with the Lions Club?
Yes, sir.
So like an adopt-a spot thing with the Lions Club, getting some recognition for it. And benches, if they're really crude, like just cut a few logs, we can have benches in a lot of places. But if we have to build something or put in a foundation, then there's all kinds of rules and regulations, and I don't think we need that. But yeah, and we're going to be putting another bicycle repair station in. We got two of them, one going in there, and great. Welcome aboard.
So as far as the benches, I think maybe we should get with the 12-town task force and see what they've been doing. Maybe they have, or maybe the state has certain requirements or suggestions or things that people have been doing.
Yeah, I would say
from scratch.
anything that is gonna be permanently affixed to the state property needs the
Mm-hmm.
state's permission, and they'll almost certainly grant it. But they're gonna wanna have the final say on
yeah.
locations and styles
That's
and,
all it.
Okay.
Becky, do you have anything as a citizen to say?
Not right now, I don't. I was just attending to find out what was going on with the parking lot and process plans.
But let's get to that.
Well, I was gonna say, that's the next on the trail updates, Airline State Park Trail, Great East Thompson Train Wreck Park, parking area and turntable site status, bike repair stations, drainage erosion, etc.
so, I made a point of reaching back out to the contractor who was awarded the bid to do the site work there for the parking area and the turntable reconstruction. That was awarded, I think, back in June. At the time, we had thought maybe we were going to start the summer, but they were in the middle of their work season. So they are on schedule to start the first full week of November with the clearing and grubbing. And they'll work until weather stops them, and then they'll,
What's grubbing?
it's just a term of,
Jump.
yes, clearing,
Grinding?
grubbing, leveling.
Okay, I just didn't know what it meant, that's all.
Just making it clear, clearing the site. Prepping for actual construction. So they're gonna, they'll start first week of November, continue until weather stops them, and then they will come back probably in early April, and go until they're done. So that project is about to start, and they do have a directive in their contract, that they can never make it impossible to park there. So they always have to leave at least a couple of parking spaces so that people can still access the trail at that end while the work's ongoing. It is going to be a little chaotic up there, probably over the fall, but underway.
But they're gonna do the clearing at both the parking area to extend it and the turntable.
I
area?
believe they are planning on doing all the clearing at once, so that they're, using whatever that equipment is, and then they're gonna get that equipment out of there, and then they're gonna bring the other equipment in the spring to do the other stuff.
Do you have a approximate planned end date for work being done under this grant?
Well, we have a 2 or 3 year performance period.
Oh, it's that long? Okay.
Yeah, well, that's just how they construct the grants, but barring something bizarre, I would expect it would be done, I don't know, within, let's be super generous and say within 6 months, once they come back in April.
Spring, yep.
And I'm saying 6 months in case it goes slower than expected, or I don't think that they're really planning on being there that long.
And they're doing the parking lot.
They're doing all of it.
Construction of the turntable.
One vendor for all.
And what do they have to follow for the turntable?
They
For
have, well, they have Janet's site plan, obviously, and Paul is sort of representing the Historical Society. Uh, how did we leave that? It's been so long since we've been out there with them. You guys numbered the stones or something, I think, in a rough order that you thought they fit together, the Historic Society. Didn't you do that?
So all the stones were 50-foot radius stones.
Yeah.
And they're pulled apart. If you just put them back together, I don't think we really need to know exactly which one went where.
Okay, they weren't that
They're
specific.
in
All
arc,
right.
so if you draw a, 50-foot arc, you should be able to maybe just tweak some around and make it out there. A
Okay,
little bigger or smaller,
But is that the position exactly is marked for them?
it's not.
Okay, it will be.
well, the
Does it
center
matter?
of the turntable, they know where it is.
Okay.
The center's been identified, so from there dimensionally, and for some reason I thought that there was some issue with them having to go together in a certain way.
No, I think some of the other people in the Historical Society wanted to do that.
Okay. Very good.
Rocks are rocks.
Yeah, it's
So
not
when we
like,
got them, they were just randomly on the ground, so they didn't come from a specific thing, but maybe if you were to examine each one, you say, well, maybe this one went here. or-
it doesn't have to function. We don't have to actually move any trains on it,
Right.
so.
That's a buzzkill.
Becky, did you have any specific questions about anything going on up there?
No, I didn't. I was just checking to see what progress you guys were making and where it was going.
Yep, should be, there should be activity up there within the month.
That's awesome.
So I-
Yeah, Valerie does that. Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
Okay. So when they go up, right now, the gates are locked. So they can't get in. So when they're doing this work. And they're gonna be coming and going at will, what should we do with the gates?
The gates, who's got the gate key? DPW?
We have one for trails.
And you have, okay, so we will either have to get them a copy of that key, which I would think is probably the easiest solution for everyone. Or if it's one of those keys that can't be copied without an act of Congress,
Or we can just leave it unlocked. Just
you
close.
could leave it unlocked. I think things that are supposed to be locked should stay locked when they need to be locked, but it is an outdoor area, so it might be a little less vital in this case.
Isn't that gate moving?
Yes,
Hmm.
yeah, it's moving back onto
So
the
are they
trail.
Supposed to take it out within this?
Yeah, they're gonna move it, physically gonna be moved up on the other side.
So, I mean, but right now they can get all this heavy equipment through the width of that,
Oh.
the way it is.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna find out.
If they can, trust me, if they're moving that thing, they'll move that first and
Yeah,
they won't have a problem getting it out.
Do we need to? And if we do, have we a plan to notify any residents along the construction area?
Janet and I specifically spoke to the very closest person to the parking lot area, and she was actually pretty thrilled about it. She was not unhappy at
I
all.
remember that was a couple, I think that bought the place not so many years ago or something, and
Yeah.
we've had good communication. I've talked to them a couple times, like being there.
Well,
If
no,
They're
anything,
very
I,
happy to live
if-
by the trail.
yeah, and if anything, I think this will reduce the chances that people drive into their driveway. I think we're giving them unless, I won't say I'm 100% on this because I haven't looked at the plans in a while. I think that there's gonna be a planted buffer or a fence line for that separation.
well, I
But
know
yeah,
I-
we'll be sure that the abutters are notified.
As my dog's trainer that runs my dog in Putnam is the first house as you start going down the trail on the left. So the parking lot's expanding towards her house. And of course, she'll have some concerns. I've been trying to tell her things are gonna happen, but I didn't know if there was
Yeah.
anything specific
I'll,
she needed to know.
I will reach back out to the contractor just to double check that fact, but yes, that we should be notifying abutters. Now, when we did the sidewalks, our contractor did that notification for us. So I will make sure that either that they are going to do it, or if they're not, that we have the list of abutters and that we can do it.
Yeah, we don't want to, we
Valerie-
don't have any ill will.
Valerie, you've had your hand up for a while. I see that.
Yep, no, related to what you're talking about. So, when, I think it was at the last meeting or perhaps the meeting before that, my recollection, tell me if I'm wrong, is that although there'll be a couple of spaces available for folks to park, there's not going to be enough room for anyone to bring a horse trailer in. Is that correct? Is that
I
my-
think that is probably a fair assumption while there's construction going on.
Yeah, and so on the communication line, I think that it's worth, getting the Villager to write an article or the WINY to do a show so that folks get some information about, that it's going to be reduced access over X period of time.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Valerie. I'll send a presser out to, I'll send a presser out to the Villager and, I'll reach out to Winnie. Winnie's probably not gonna be having a lot of guests on inside political season, but it'll be right after that,
I'll
so,
put something on the Facebook page.
yeah.
And I
Well-
put it in the selectmen's update too.
There's a couple
Oh,
of
that's right.
agencies that are.
Yes,
they
so
share.
we'll hit multiple avenues.
Has anybody talked to the Rod and Gun Club? They own all the land, all the way up to the Butlers, all behind us, and they got that gate that goes across.
I haven't talked to them recently, but Ray Williams is on planning and zoning, so, I can
I know
give him the
we
heads
bought
up that
the
they're gonna be
stone
starting soon.
And with the wooden fences, they had told us that that was all their property when we got originally. So there may be.
Well, we have the survey. We know where everybody's property lines are.
So just because you had
Yep.
a survey and you didn't tell somebody and all of a sudden you start doing stuff,
Yeah, no, I'll get in touch with Ray. I have to talk to him all the time for planning and zoning, so I will talk to him.
All right, what about the bike repair stations?
We've had them both in hand for months now,
Okay,
so,
They're still sitting.
right, so the one that, which was the original one we were gonna order is part of this project, so that's gonna be at DPW until next spring when they actually construct the parking area. That other one for Mechanicsville is not part of this project. We just ordered it to get the, if there was any economy on shipping both together or whatever. That's, you guys gotta decide what to do with it, but Joe has it and, it's just a
Did
matter
their
of,
own Instructions with it?
yeah, they come with specs.
I think we probably want to see how they install, the contractor installs the one to give us guidance how to install the other.
Yeah, and the spec sheets are online for the company too. They're not that, it's not that complicated. It's
No,
a
I'm just-
concrete pad and or whatever,
Some kind of tube or
yeah,
something.
quickcrete tube and, it's a fairly simple object, but somebody's got to do it. So,
I think we could get that.
That, we need to find a specific location. If you want to go up sometime, John, I'll go up there with you. We kind of look around.
and obviously let Kim Bradley know that you're doing it at CT Deep, but again, they certainly are aware that people are looking to do improvements on their sections of trails. We just want to make sure we don't run afoul of anything they've got planned or,
There were at least two other municipalities along rail trails in Connecticut that had similar posts of similar equipment they are installing now. So it's been out there on the Airline Trail website, Facebook page. And everybody seems enthusiastic about it.
yeah, I don't expect any trouble from CT Deep, just, as it was earlier established. It's their property and they may have opinions on the location even in that parking lot, so should be given the opportunity.
All right, so on to drainage and erosion issues on the trail.
The last communication that we had from DOT was that because of the flooding in the other parts of the state, they hadn't gotten to it yet. But it was still on their radar.
Did they look at it?
I think they looked at it but didn't decide anything, but then they got busy.
Unfortunately, it's been a perfect time because it's been so nice and dry.
Maybe they got out there, but I didn't hear anything again, so.
Fortunately, I haven't been on that part of the trail. Paul and I mowed one time and we got to where we could go for the day and I haven't been on that end, but they've also been working on the bridge. So we couldn't really get past that spot and so I haven't been out on that side of the trail to even look at it.
I had contacted Tara about a month ago and gave her fresh pictures from the area. And she got in touch with them,
Scott
which
Bushy,
basically,
yeah.
Scott. Basically, I think you were CC'd on that,
Yeah.
which is where we got that information that they had been tied up. They planned to work on it, but they were tied up obviously with bigger issues in the western part of the state, which certainly makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, the Trail Alliance,
Yeah, well.
You guys went to that meeting, right? Because I was not able to go to
well,
that one.
You two went to the North meeting,
I did not go. I was not able to go.
no, the first meeting. You
The
were-
very first
Yeah,
meeting.
John was there.
Yeah, no, but then the one that you had, that was just Zoom, didn't you do that?
No, I thought I was going to be
All
able
right,
to,
but
and I
anyway,
couldn't.
they have you listed, you and Paul listed as the Thompson contacts. So then Paul and I went in person to the one that they had again in Willimantic. And, you know, it was a recap again. It wasn't, anything earth shaking. The same issues came up, you know, where it was a discussion about the maintenance a lot and having agreements, but again, it was. What it was is Kim Bradley, who was really hard to understand on Zoom because she was sick, but she and another person at Deep are working on streamlining the maintenance agreements, because right now there's like 2 of them and for different kinds of agreements, and they're trying to make it an easier one for people on the trail to have as a ongoing, long-term, this is your maintenance agreement. Kind of
So
you can
what
do and
each
you
town is
can't.
responsible for
What's each.
municipally.
What is, right, municipally and what the state's responsible for. And then there was a lot of talk about, how Deep and DOT don't talk to each other. And so it's really, if we can't expect that an agreement with DOT is gonna be communicated to Deep, and any agreement we have with DOT doesn't override, we still have to have agreements with Deep. So if we're gonna do anything, I would say Deep is our first contact. And if we get something from DOT changes and they're gonna do something, we are responsible still of telling Deep what's going on. This is my take on it. That there's so many state agencies, they don't know what the other one's doing. So.
That is more or less the way it operates. I mean, I can tell you that even the divisions of DOT don't internally communicate very well to each other. So interagency communication is not a thing that happens as easily as you think it would. And as we know, Deep is also massively understaffed. So, you know, they're not doing the reach out to to DOT. The one person from DOT, I think we get good response from is Scott Bushy. But, you know, I mean, since we know how difficult it seems to be for them to communicate amongst themselves, it's just practical for us to be proactive in pushing all of those communications to both agencies at the same time.
So if anybody's planning on going to the next meeting, I would suggest doing the Zoom meeting rather than the in-person. The in-person, we couldn't hear a damn thing. They had the microphone on their laptop so that we could hear people. And
Right, they were
didn't
holding up
use
a
a
mic.
mic. It's echo in the room. We couldn't understand anything they were saying.
Where were you, back in Wyndham Town Hall?
Same
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they had it spread out, it was
The whole,
It
the
was
whole
all
room.
weren't close to the screen or the computer with the.
I suspect they got some specific feedback from some specific people that they really wanted to meet in person, and they were trying to accommodate that.
It's nice, but I mean,
So
the
the next,
cases were.
the
Yeah.
next meeting is supposed to be early December. And there's an interim chair, Bruce Donald, who is the Southern New England manager of the East Coast Greenways Alliance. So he's an interim chair, but he knows how to do this stuff, and he is working on the maintenance agreements and he's working with the Hop River people, so they already have, so he's working on bylaws for this. Now it's the Airline Trail State Park Alliance is what they're calling it. And so we're gonna use what Hop River's done so far for a template for the bylaws, the signage, the compliance guidelines, best practices. So he's pulling that all together. So there's a starting point. So there's still the north group and the south group. I'm not sure if that next meeting just north or everybody. I'm not sure of that. Let's see. And then they talked about the resurfacing, as hopefully that would be categorized as reconstruction, so then that would include drainage issues. So not just laying down stone dust, but treating it in the future as a reconstruction problem.
Are they considering that as a state issue or still a municipality issue?
Well, they were talking about the states providing, they're looking for bonding for long-term, being able to provide the stone dust. And then they're looking for the municipalities to spread.
Well, even if they could do that, I mean,
Right.
our DPW in the past has shown the ability to do it and it's held up really well, but we need the product and then the time.
Yeah, I mean, we need more than just the product. We need coordination. If the expectation is gonna be that our DPW guys are gonna do it, then they need that coordination well before
Season,
Yeah.
the season starts, because you're talking about a labor issue, right?
Mhm.
Bodies who have tasks that people expect them to do,
absolutely.
which is road maintenance, even though trail maintenance is more economically productive than road maintenance. People still get bent if they think their roads are getting ignored. And that's,
No, but having the
How long
product
is
at
the
least is
program
a start.
I know, but
I get they have stuff to do. I'm just
yeah,
saying, like,
it's also, there's also a mindset thing, right? These guys got hired with the expectation that they're gonna be road
Right.
maintainers more than the expectation that they're gonna be trail maintainers. And that just goes to sort of, that's just the way these departments tend to think. It's like it's a focus shift to understand that
maybe-
trails are also transit.
town?
Yeah, I know, but and the state owns it, we don't own it, so
Mhm.
our guys are working on somebody else's property, and like, there's a whole
Yeah.
thing there, and that's not unreasonable, those sets of expectations. But the maintenance agreements should clarify that, and, but yeah, if, if Deep wants for stone dust and just ship some here,
Hey,
I gotta
start.
that's not gonna help those guys plan, they're
No,
gonna,
but-
they're gonna need a lot of notice.
Something,
No, but what they were.
but Jim,
talking
this
about
is
is
kind of what you're talking about, is that
meeting the
maintaining
state
the airline
bonding
trail.
To be able to
And
have the stone.
Finding
dust
out
on a
what the
regular
town is
basis.
responsible for, what the volunteers have to do, what the state could do. You said you're down in Mechanicsville, if you've come up by the Route 200 overpass, that's the main areas of erosion that we're talking about from storm runoff. And that's what we've been dealing with this year with the state, trying to get that looked at and hopefully
Are
repaired.
you talking about that section where, the state has, like a works?
Yes,
Because if you're riding a bike, and
yes,
then all of a sudden you go into this massive,
yeah.
big stones and everything.
Yeah.
So you literally have to walk.
And that's beyond our capability of doing, that's why
Oh,
we
absolutely.
need to know what the state is gonna do, whether it be DEEP or DOT, and where the responsibilities lie, and that's what this alliance is among the towns along the entire airline trail. Just to catch you up on what all this is.
That's the segue into maintenance.
Well,
and
so just a couple of other things that came out of that meeting. They were talking about, the state is talking about switching from the gates to bollards so that they can go for accessibility grants. So we should check, maybe that gate isn't even gonna go back in if they're gonna switch.
That is also a good
Okay.
point. I will try to remember to ask Kim about that, although in our case, that's like a two-faced coin. We gain the accessibility, but the biggest problem our trail has had has been unauthorized ATV use and,
All of the trails, that came up,
Yeah.
that's something everyone is complaining about.
yeah.
The Moosup Valley Rail Trail is almost completed. And they have bollards at road crossings, and ATV usage is a problem.
Yeah, and we have a huge problem, not just with the fact that they're using the trails, that they go onto other people's properties
To get
from
around
the
gate,
trail.
And to get around the gate and to go into.
Yeah, there's constant problems with the Butler's properties that are adjacent to the trails, and I think other places too, but you know.
Yeah,
that
there was
trail
a
access.
complaint on one of the Facebook pages about 3 weeks ago, and I passed it along to Amy. She asked for the information, but someone was saying that people were using the trail, coming onto their property. She asked them to leave and they swear at her, and it's, no, she has no trespassing signs.
Yeah,
and
well.
There's just no consideration.
It appears to be a part of that particular recreational culture.
Hmm.
I wish I could say that I thought that the answer was like as Rawson finishes up their next gravel operation to reclaim it as a public ATV park, but I don't actually think that would solve the problem.
Yeah,
It might alleviate some of it, but
it's a good idea, though.
it's like an outlaw. It appears to be an outlaw culture, and therefore the ignoring of regulations and people's property rights seems to be actually a part of the joy, which is unfortunate.
Hmm.
Because I'm sure there are also people who do use it respectfully and try to, but some people are determined to ruin it for everybody all the time.
I would imagine at some point it's gonna come to a head on stuff anyways, because we've had a lot of ATV accidents over the last few years.
Mhm.
Resulting in some major injuries, including death, so.
That you responded to from the fire department?
And we just had one that they responded to within a month that was a compound fracture that somebody got in the woods, riding in the woods. Wasn't on the airline trail, but like Quark area,
Yeah,
so it's just. And again, I know other people, I know somebody of mine that had a child that unfortunately passed because ATV, and it was just an accident, that one there. But I'm just saying, so it's gonna be kind of like Quartic where they're patrolling it now. I would imagine that maybe something's gonna have to at some
well,
point.
unless there's a ranger who's patrolling regularly. I mean, rangers are only, rangers, police, any of those public safety people, they're only preventive if there is a perception that they are actually there. If the territory is so big that they're never there,
I'm
then,
just saying that Quartic, they've been there, because we did some stuff there, and all of
Yeah.
a sudden there was a ranger there, and then there was state police who drove through, and. Well, they definitely are, they up the patrols after the bad things that have happened there over the last couple of years, so.
right?
Did we get some proper signage? Fines, overture?
Well,
There's no enforcement.
right, so who's levying those fines? The town, Deep? I think Deep probably does have some kind of fines, but
You gotta catch them.
you gotta catch them.
Do we
And
know who
then-
they live? We gotta be able to follow the tracks from their machines.
I would also suspect that they would take them down.
Yeah,
I'm just saying airline trail park signs that we had at some of the crossings, the road crossings and stuff disappeared and. Right after they got put up, other ones are still there,
The new ones?
not those signs, those are the ones that mark, like I haven't seen any of those that have disappeared, but I'm saying there used to be
Yeah,
the nice
right.
triangle airline trail state park. The little one, again, Sandim Road, that one was gone within a month of them putting it up. There's a
Hmm.
couple other ones that were painted over, and then other ones haven't been touched and they're doing fine, which is, it's just. The ones that are out of sight are the ones that disappear,
Ones who will set a.
down by yours, right, they dug out the whole
Right.
post.
I mean, to a certain extent, at least part of the theory and the hope is that as usership increases, it's like anything else. It's hard to do crimes when you're being watched, right? So as usership increases, there's probably less of that happens over time. Maybe also once the parking lot is actually constructed and it's easier to park there and, again, more people in and out from that particular point. You might see less of that, but it's just a remote area. you know, and it's a remote area, and for whatever reason, those horrible vehicle things have become not work vehicles, but these recreational vehicles, which, you know, it's at least a moderately destructive form of recreation.
But I also believe a lot more people use it than we know that.
Oh,
we
I'm
don't know
sure.
That they were there because they don't destroy things and they don't go on private property and they
Sure,
do the right.
and those are the people that I wish we did have a place for them to go,
Right.
right? But like I say, there just seems to be some piece of that form of recreation that is like outlaw culture.
All right, we're on to maintenance and work days.
I don't have any planned. I don't know. Work for me has been kind of a little bit crazy and
This,
I'll just leave it at that only because I don't want to say a lot of things over the air, but I'm just saying work's been busy for me and I'm getting closer to the end. I'm just trying to line things up. So I've been super busy with that, unfortunately, but
this, Thomas Burrell, is it that helps you? Is that someone that wants to be a part of the committee or just wants to help when you need help on the trail?
I think he just wants to help on the trails. Yeah.
Cause he seems involved and always interested in
Yeah.
posting and.
Yeah, but again, like a lot of things that happen that way. I mean, we often get people that come and not to say anything disrespectful to you, sir, that come and they're interested in doing stuff and we see them at 1 or 2 meetings and
Yeah.
then they're in the wind.
Have you been staying connected with Greg Corso, our forestry friend?
So him and I did, but it was a couple months ago.
Yeah.
We were supposed to meet out there and I haven't been outside as much as should be outside. So him and I have not got to meet over there and look at what the invasives are.
He's been he's been super helpful on the 65 Main project. He went out and did a site walk to flag invasives with the wetlands officer. And I mean, I think he's volunteer minded. Obviously, he's also a professional forester, so you can't impose on his time like
Right.
infinitely.
But him and I had a good communication. This is a
Wicked
couple
nice
months ago.
guy.
Yeah, and we were supposed to meet out there. I actually met him on the trail. I was out doing something and he was biking one time.
Yeah, and I think he lives not far from the East Thompson. I think he lives in East Thompson
I
somewhere.
think so, yeah.
Yeah.
He lives
Uh,
close to the trail because he gets right.
Yeah,
on.
he lives right on the trail. He said as part of his thing as an arborist, he actually had to own a certain number of acres and that's why he moved here because he was able to get that property out near East Thompson someplace.
Oh,
But anyway, if you still have his contact information as you schedule stuff, I mean,
yeah,
reach
he
out.
does.
What's the worst he can say is he can't do it at any given time.
What's his last name again?
Corso, and his local business is Arbor Active. So he does have a website you can reach him through
Well,
as
I have his
well.
contact information. I'm sure if I
Okay.
just throw it in there, he'll come right up.
So maintenance, couple weeks, 2, 3 weeks ago, I mowed from New Road all the way up to Lower Davis. I would have went further, but there was a car parked right in front of the gate, where the kiosk is, and I couldn't get past that. So after that, I brought all the equipment back to the trailers, everything to the trailer.
Do need to try and schedule something to get out there. I mean, we've mowed this side of the trail pretty well. I think I went out once by myself, you and I went out together. And then you went out by yourself, so we've done pretty good with that, but we haven't really gone past Lowell Davis probably.
Over to Mechanicsville.
I
yeah.
think you and I went past that. Next.
Sunset Hill we went to, yeah, but we haven't got past there. So maybe next time we'll have to do it again. I'll look at my calendar. Maybe we'll just have to go to Mechanicsville, just drive there and then mow back or something so we
Yeah,
can get
that,
that.
if somebody had a small trailer that they could put the Kubota, just the Kubota in and drive it down to Mechanicsville. Lugging the big trailer around is, a big vehicle. And, I know, other than,
Now, there were concerns, I guess would be maintenance. I told John from Alicia Underhill about the little wooden bridge
yeah.
that's on that side near 200, that it's starting to
that's-
decay. She said somebody had some kind of caution flags or cones, and she contacted me because she was wondering why they disappeared. But I had been out there just the week before, first time this year, and I never saw any cones, and I don't think we put them there. John said He didn't.
I think there was a cone and some caution tape across or hanging.
There
down.
was? You saw that? Okay.
But it's dangerous, because if you're going, it just, you know,
Yeah, we talked about that bridge when they
And it's
replaced
covered.
the other bridge. And they
But I
had
was going to
said,
send pictures to you. I just remember that at the last meeting.
You sent me some pictures. Maybe they were pictures of a different issue.
is that the bridge though that you fixed the railing on near East Thompson? This is the one over.
I know it's like the one that's behind
Yeah.
her house, over by her house.
Yeah,
And that bridge is on the state property?
Yeah.
yeah.
It is, but who did that? It was kind of done by volunteers. It was between 2005 and 2008 or so. Because I used to ride my bike through there, and then bang, all of a sudden there were two bridges there. And nobody that I knew on the Trails Committee knew anything about them.
And we didn't put them in.
Weird.
And it's odd that they had to do this big bridge that met emergency standards.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't anymore.
Trail, you have a bridge that you could never drive a vehicle over.
We couldn't get through with our UTV when we went through there for one of those road races, when we were looking for people if they got injured. And that's when we finally, I think you were there, remember we dragged the rock out of the way, I'm like, the UTV can't get by, we had to go in this big ditch. So we dragged the rock out of the way so that the UTV at least can get, you have to turn and turn, where we,
And we have
with the mower.
take the mower off, because we
Right.
can't get through there with the mower.
Well, yeah, that sounds very much like something that CT Deep should know about, because, you know, the work that, the major work that is being done here is being done because they are giving us money to maintain their, you know, and improve their property ultimately. But I don't have any other means of getting that done municipally, so they could probably invest in it in some other way, because we don't have any match that's gonna be available for something like that.
Ties done a lot of things, like where the big hole is from the washout. Like, that's a safety concern,
Yeah.
like. Somebody will be down there within a week if somebody goes into that big hole on their bike,
Mhm.
almost guarantee you.
Any politics?
Yeah, well, we'd
keep
prefer
telling
it,
them stuff.
we'd prefer it not to happen
No.
that way, right? So,
Right.
So right behind the condos, there's that washout where there was a log in the drainage and it pushed into the trail, and you can still get by, you can drive by with a vehicle, like, it's fine, but we told them about that 3 years ago.
all I can say is, as you you just
Just
keep
report
sending,
it.
keep sending the pictures, keep sending the reports, I'll push them to Kim. When it's DOT related as well, to Scott Bushy, at least Scott in particular responds quickly via email. And then, look, I'm sure they're getting this from similar projects all over the state, but you can't assume that they're going to remember you if you don't continually, politely remind them that, hey, we still need to take care of this, and this is a safety issue. I mean, just keep saying that safety issue. The interpretive parks, the parking areas, yeah, those are, extra. So it's totally appropriate that when we had that ARPA opportunity, we would put that money in. But if it's a safety concern and it's their property, let's just keep pushing that up.
From the lawyer, they'll do something.
I just feel bad, we get bad press for it
Mhm.
on our Facebook
Well,
page.
yeah.
I know.
Because there's there's like 2 or 3 people who ride the whole airline trail a couple times a year, and they posted stuff on there. Oh, the Thompson area, it's all, I guess they don't complain as much as they do about the part where they just did over in, is it Pomfret, where the big bridge goes over 44? Because they opened up the trail and put in the tunnels and all, but they never did the surface. So when it
I'm getting
rains,
calls on that.
it's all muddy and I rode my bike through it and it's just tough. So we're not the only part, but that's still part of the quiet corner too, so.
We don't say quiet corner anymore. We say scenic northeast. Some of us
Oh.
went to a great deal of trouble to try to get our tourism identity uncoupled from Mystic Country. So no more Mystic Country, no more quiet corner. We are the scenic northeast. Thank you very much.
You're not doing good with it because I never heard of it until tonight.
I know. Hey, look,
I'm gonna be in
It was,
rebellion
it was
about
a
that.
2.5 year fight at the tourism district, so we are trying to claw that back. Anyway,
All right. Are we on to Wyndham Land Trust update?
Mike?
Hi.
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 We are now the owners of the Boy Scout property, finally.
congratulations.
Thank you. Now comes the process that we have laid out internally is to thoroughly mark the boundaries. We actually paid for a partial survey from one of our board members is a surveyor, and we paid for a survey of the western boundaries where there's actually houses on Aquatic Town Farm Road. There was a series of encroachments that we had to clean up, and we have. And so, and then the state of Rhode Island is in the process of buying the rest of the Boy Scout property behind the Wakefield Pond. And so they actually contracted for a survey of the state line. So the eastern boundary of the property is pretty much set. The northern boundary is all set. So it's just the southern part that's still a little questionable. But the good news is that a big portion of the southern portion of that property we own. It's Leclerc Preserve. So right now, working with Andy Resnickevich, we're starting to, I guess step one is to make sure everything's posted properly on the property. We want to do an assessment of all the trails on the properties, both properties, Leclerc as well as the Boy Scouts property, because it's all contiguous. And they all lead into trails that are in Aquatic State Park, as well as Rhode Island. Now it's Rhode Island DEM, because they bought the essentially 1,000 acres from the Boy Scouts in Rhode Island. So trying to figure out what we have is where we're at, really. And so I think, you know, if someone on the Trails Committee wanted to help us mapping the existing trail systems, because I'd be shocked if we need to add new trails. I think what we want to do is prioritize the trails that are there, and mark them appropriately. And I would suggest, and we're leaning towards maybe having a spring of 2025, you know, opening of a trail system for that particular property in connection with Aquatic State Park and State Forest, and frankly the Rhode Island DEM property, because it's just, you know, miles and miles of trails there for people to use, and if you're out there hiking, it doesn't really kind of matter where the state line is, you know what I mean? It's beautiful country.
Great. I'm glad that finally went through.
Yeah, so I mean, Charlie, you're a member of the Land Trust.
Yeah.
Would you want to be part of that?
Oh,
little-
yes, very much. I've also been in touch with people in Rhode Island who work at trail development at state level. And
Yep.
we can't overlook Douglas State Forest either, even though it's just beyond Wyndham Land Trust property. It's all part of the same network. I'm glad Becky's still on, because some of this should be mapped out exclusively or primarily for horses and foot pedestrians, and keep the bicycles and other things off. But there's great potential there. I'm glad that it's finally able to come together.
Yes, this is a long-term project because there's a lot of land there, and it has been used, and there are ATV trails, and unfortunately occasionally Jeeps come through, and because I was listening to the previous conversations, you know, when there's not a lot of eyeballs out there, people do dumb things and they make a mess of things. And then the secondary factor for this particular property is that with this acquisition, now that Wyndham Land Trust owns about 1.5 miles of Blackmore Brook, which goes from Wakefield Pond all the way to Quadic Lake. It's a major tributary to Quadic and 5 Mile River and ultimately the Thames River watershed. So there are no bridges that are accessible across that. So springtime, the trails won't be able to cross it very easily. There is a bridge, the land bridge, that's unfortunately still owned by the Rhode Island Boy Scouts, and it's still in Rhode Island. It's really, I mean, could we use it? Yes. Nothing's stopping you, and nothing stopping hikers from going across it. I ride my mountain bike across it all the time. But it would be hard for us to advertise that as a trail system without the permission of the Rhode Island Boy Scouts. Any questions on that particular?
So, yeah, so the Boy Scouts still have property that they're maintaining.
Well, maintaining is a very interesting term, but I don't think that's appropriate, but they still own. Yeah, one of the, if you're not familiar with the area, there's I'm trying to remember what the size of it is.
But there's no Boy Scout camp or anything.
Oh, there's definitely, no, they still own the campground.
There is.
There is a campground there that Boy Scouts used to open to the public, and they still use it, they still own it. And as part of that 50 or 70 acre lake, Wakefield Pond, there's a dam for it with it. And as part of our negotiations with them, we did not want to own a dam that's holding back a 70 acre pond. So they retained that. And it's also more complicated because that dam is actually straddling the state line. And neither state will say it's in their state. So, I mean, we just didn't want to do that. And so, yeah, the Boy Scouts still have a good chunk of land there. But you know, we've had a very friendly and cordial transaction. So, you know, if we deem it advantageous to get a pass to be able to access that basically it's a dirt road bridge over the Blackmore Brook, we could ask. I can't say whether they would approve that, from a liability standpoint or not, but we could certainly ask.
Do you have a name for this property yet?
No. We're still working on that.
Mike, how many acres?
Well, first of all, any suggestions for names? We're taking all suggestions at this point. It may have something to do with Quadic in it, is what we're thinking. But as far as total acreage, and this is 272 acres combined with Tamler, which is 70 something. So 350 acres on the Connecticut side and about 1,000 in Rhode Island. Which, by the way,
very close to the Robin Preserve up there at the northern end of the Boy Scout property. That's a nice asset.
Yeah, no, the key to that block is that it's an integral piece of land going from basically Pulaski to George Washington in Rhode Island to Buck Hill Management in Rhode Island to Quadic State Forest.
That's the name, I think, Buck Hill, because we got Bull Hill on the other side of town.
Yes, and Buck Hill, my backyard goes up to the Buck Hill Management area, and the state of Rhode Island has bought not only the 1,000 acres of the Boy Scouts on the southern end of Wakefield Pond, but they also bought the hundreds of acres across the street that go from the Boy Scout camp up to Buck Hill Road to all the way to Buck Hill Management. So, we estimate that between, going from Douglas State Forest down to the southern tip of George Washington in Rhode Island, through Connecticut. It's probably about 15,000 acres of contiguous land. I mean, there's, you know, interspersed roads and houses here and there, but it's not really broken.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big deal, and trying to come up with a trail system within our little, you know, 300 acres that integrates into all that also minimizes the temptation for Jeeps and heavy ATV use and all that sort of fun stuff is going to be a challenge.
Maybe we can do a couple of bridges, where the Leclerc property was. The bridge there was deteriorated, so maybe the Trails Committee we were kind of batting around ideas for what kind of a fall work project. We might be able to go out and find a couple of spots where we could put in footbridges there. Maybe.
There's a lot of possibilities there, Charlie. That's why I want you or somebody else on the committee to be part of it. Because, you know, how do we optimize this for access and use? And I mean, we also have questions about what's the best way to enter this property.
Yeah.
You know, because Leclerc, the bridge on Leclerc Road is closed. It's privately owned, and the owner does not want people to go across it. Okay. We can access it directly. There's a road that goes from the parking lot along in Quantic Town Farm Road on Quantic Lake State Park that goes, I don't know, 200 yards, and then you're on on this property we just bought. And it's a very readily accessible road. That's probably the easiest way in. But anyway, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered, and we want to work with the committee and optimize the access. And again, because of all the use it's had over the years, I would be shocked if we actually need to build new trails. I think what we need to do is maintain and mark and optimize the trail system that's there now.
Yeah, designate loops so that people know if I park my car here, I can follow the green line around and come back out.
Yes,
Have some pictures of waterfowl or whatever.
exactly.
Cross-country ski trails?
This isn't Vermont, Charlie. There's no snow here anymore.
Well,
Good point.
Thank you.
I have a barn full of cross-country skis sitting there doing nothing.
yeah, I haven't had mine out for a while either.
Anyway, somebody else had a question?
I don't think so.
Okay,
Thanks.
Thank you.
well, you're welcome. Thank you.
On to Community Day, October 5th.
Nice day all around, very successful.
I thought it was also, you know, I was there as the last Green Valley rep, so, you know,
Was it busy?
it was okay, you know, people stopped by. I didn't have a lot to give them, which I was grateful because it was easy for me to handle, but John put up the tent and took it back down, so I was all set. I spent the day there and.
So I'll just say it was a strange day because we had a barbecue at the fire department.
But they always do.
What I'm saying, we always do, but I'm saying, our fall barbecue is usually pretty good, and then in the spring barbecue, we sold out in an hour and a half. This one here, well, we got a brush fire right in the middle of it that we had to respond to, so we were at a skeleton crew, but we did good and we were kind of busy, but it was not even close to, there was no lines ever. There's maybe a line of 3 or 4 cars, and it was steady for the whole time.
Yeah.
But it was just strange because, again, there was a couple other meals going on in town during the same time.
But that was the thing, you know, I don't understand, when we used to be busy at St. Stephen's, there used to be a calendar in the town hall here that when you came down and you put your event on it, that other people would say, no, we won't make the event on that day.
Yeah.
Because you're right, you had a barbecue,
Lions Club had something, I think, in Valley Springs.
I don't know about Valley Springs, but, American Legion had spaghetti supper.
Something like that, yeah.
I mean, when you put 4 events in the town on the same day,
Well, it's not like the town is planning them, right?
No,
So
but again.
the,
if
the
it was
town
nice
planned community
communication,
day.
Even if it was just there that no one had to maintain it,
so
but you
it's-
would know, but again, we have our barbecues on the first
Yeah.
Saturday in July, January, not January. June, no, I know, I'm saying for the June one, and then it's the weekend after the 4th of July for our clam cakes, and then it's always the first Saturday in October, we have our,
so.
I wonder if the food trucks being at community day, because they didn't used to have those,
right,
cut into your margins there. So it
right.
might make sense to move, if you think you're gonna be losing revenue because people are spending their discretionary food dollars
Yeah,
on tacos and bison burgers and.
Yeah, because one lady stopped by at the last Green Valley and she said, she said there were 6 of these events today. And she said, we've covered 3 of them and look at what time it is.
It's a huge weekend.
Yep,
Yeah.
That one and Indigenous Peoples' Day weekend,
Yeah.
those are probably the 2 biggest weekends for fall events. So
Oh,
you're
okay.
always gonna be competing.
Yeah.
But I mean, your point about the various nonprofits who host charity meals not coordinating is well taken. But it wouldn't necessarily be the town's role to coordinate that.
No, and I don't think we're saying that, but
It's
just
not-
someplace where we could have a calendar.
Yeah,
where people
okay,
can post
a
it.
community calendar, yeah.
Yes.
that's
We
what I-
have a community calendar on the website that people are welcome to
Oh.
post their events to, but nobody does.
I will
Nobody
put it out for them
does.
So they know.
Yeah,
yeah, because if you've already got, a chicken barbecue and a spaghetti supper and then something down on the field. I thought that was good though, that they put everybody on the field from the town, all the nonprofits were there and whatever else. and the
yeah,
cars
we're
were-
getting a little better at that lineup thing.
Yeah.
So there was the one year where we tried to use the whole, what we call the promenade,
Yeah.
Riverside parking lot. The way we do for the Maker Faire. Now that setup makes perfect sense for the Maker Faire because we don't use the infield at all. But we need the ball field for things like the inflatables and the stage.
Yeah.
So the right proportion there was
Yeah.
elusive, but I think we actually got it right this year. And one like little thing that I actually think it occurred to me on the fly while we were on the field was that we've had the stage against that chain link fence, but then we've had the rows in like not really facing towards it. So when we laid the field out, I actually just angled the rows so that they were all facing towards the entertainment. And it seemed to funnel people in there. It looked really full when I came down from the
Well,
stuff at the track.
They need a better PA system. I mean, if you were right where the first tent was, you heard stuff. I was, I think 3 tents beyond and heard very little,
Mm.
but all in all, like you say, the weather was good. People did turn out, but,
The
just too
food
many-
trucks were busy. I mean, they had
Yeah.
lines, so
Yeah.
that, it's possible that's cutting into your.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your charitable. And I do not think it's gonna move off that first weekend in October, Community Day. So if that is a potential conflict, you guys might wanna talk about it in your
Well,
charitable
2
committee.
events, I think wouldn't be bad, but when you think that there was,
Every other year, we've actually, Community Day has not been anything, like it hasn't.
So maybe it
conflicted at
really
all.
was just there were so
There
many.
were so many things. I
yeah,
think.
so many events.
For us, it's tough because we can't do it the weekend after because that's World Series of Racing, so we're at the track all weekend. And then you get too far into October where it gets too cold.
Yeah.
So maybe something in September or I don't know, but
Yeah,
I'd love to do one down there, but it's not our district and it's tough.
It's Community Day. The fire trucks come down from all of the,
And we do, but I'm saying we intentionally for the fire station job, just say we don't do things in other people's districts. Like if you have a boot drive or something, I wouldn't go stand down at Quinnebog and do
Yeah.
the boot drive. Because again, that's their area,
Yeah.
that's, you know what I mean?
fair enough.
And if you do too many of those things, then that gets too much on the town. So it's just for us to take and have a chicken barbecue down there. It's not, it's right
No,
near the
I-
community
I-
station, so we'd be making money in there. So it's kind of like
Yeah, I
a
hear you,
fundraiser
I
and
hear
it's
you.
just stepping on toes. It's just not worth it. And then you have to have a pit, blah, 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 but whatever, it's okay.
All right, October Cemetery Walk, October 25th.
Okay, so, if anybody wants to volunteer for that night, let me know, but,
I'm already there,
um,
historical. Paul and I are gonna be there.
well, yeah, all right, I mean, Joe's gonna need somebody like trailing him
Yeah.
with that sound system. He does have a sound system, but it
Yeah.
has to be ferried. I'm meeting Joe on the 12th. I don't know if you have to be there with the guy who runs the cemetery.
Oh, good.
So that we have that all cleared up. Amanda
Is out of the picture.
well, she's organizing and she's been calling him. Meet up, but she's not doing anything physical. But it looks like it's coming together and but as I talked to her a week ago and she didn't have any registration through the October site yet.
I tried to sign up through the Thompson Rec,
Yeah.
and I had difficulty signing in. So I called Brian and he signed me up. And, he said something about they were gonna try and limit it to like 50 people.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're considering doing a second walk if they
Joe,
have, like.
No, Joe didn't want to. It was discussed, but Joe didn't want to do it twice. So, and then the rain date is the 26th, the next day, just so you guys know.
What time on the 25th?
I believe it starts at 6:30.
I don't remember either, but I do.
I'll let you know if, I mean, you think you.
I'll be down there to help do whatever I can.
All right, so also emergency management is lined up to help with parking. And they're gonna do parking at the mini golf. I mean, she was trying to clear it with mini golf and the nursery. And,
The last I heard, the nursery's gonna be okay this time.
well, Amanda was checking with both, so,
Oh.
hopefully
Hopefully if emergency management is doing that, they're gonna have
That-
somebody crossing people.
Right.
Because it's,
that's what she was asking them to do.
that road is just,
Yeah,
yeah,
What time is the meeting on the 12th?
and if there's only 50 people, like.
I won't be.
That's something we can.
What do you mean?
Reach out for anyone.
No, but
The town constables, make the request through either the selectmen or emergency management, probably the selectmen first to be.
Help with volunteerism.
Kevin doesn't mind doing.
Okay.
okay, we all set? Are we on to turkey trot? Bob?
Yeah, we're segueing right into that, so. One question before I forget, Paul, are you gonna be able to help or are you doing the slingshot thing over at Fort Hill Farm?
I don't know. I didn't know about that. That's going on at the same time.
Well, it did 2 years ago. Last year it didn't.
I'll go if I can. You know, unless something
Okay.
comes up, I'll have to let
We'll
you
keep
know.
your eye. I know that's your priority to help with that. Yeah, you're not that big. Well, I'd love to have you. I think, Lyanne, you helping this year? Okay, so we have everyone except Tara. David, you're gonna be there or not? Okay. And Jim, if you wanna help volunteer or do anything. What time does your people usually get there?
Well, we start registering at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, so we're there usually earlier. I wanna say it's 7:15, 7:30, right in that time. Cause the parking starts and goes pretty quick, but it's usually, again, Kevin and those other two, father, son, do all that come and volunteer every year.
And John usually runs the parking and sets up the marshals around the course and then,
Well, my friend Kevin does the parking,
Yeah.
because I take the marshals out. By the time I get them set, usually the race is starting, so
Is
I
that
think.
typically done by like noon time or when is it?
it's usually done by 11.
Okay. So
We
I
usually
just-
cleaned up and out of
And
there.
I got
before
lucky
do.
again this year. My UConn game is at 4:30, so it hasn't been a conflict the last 2 years, but the 2 years before that, I had to miss my first game of the year. So, yeah, that's,
Plenty of games.
I guess, it's the time of year where I start to worry about sponsorships and,
and attendance. I know people are signing up. I put a second Facebook post about sponsorships out there to give credit. There was some people that apparently fell through the crack that didn't get letters when Amanda went out. So we sent letters, but that was just like about 3 weeks ago. And Community Day was a big priority for Brian, even with Amanda back. Now with Community Day out of the way, this week we'll hopefully be focusing on follow-up on sponsors. We do have, we've got a great start compared to the past, but obviously I always want to beat the previous year. As of today, we have $8,350 in hand. We've had net increase, because we lost Thompson Auto Care, obviously, but due to increased donations from 3 people, we have a net increase of $1,375. So if we get everyone back, last year we had 16,100, we'd be looking at 17,475 if we get everyone back at the same amount. And then if we get some new people, like Jim might be joining us with his company as a sponsor, we can increase that. But my worry is, so far we have 22 checks, and that means we're missing about 26 from last year. So a lot of them are the smaller ones, the 125s, but they add up. And that's, the event pretty much goes. We had a concern about the bibs, which fortunately went away. The company that makes the bibs, which of course has to be made with G7's logo on it as a timing sponsor, was affected by Hurricane Helene, and they were closed, but they are reopened and have assured Brian that won't be a problem. So everything else just pretty much runs normally. Brian just makes his calls, gets our signs ready, gets our trophies ready, and yeah, it's pretty automatic at this point. It's just making sure we get all the sponsorships in place and the volunteers. And again, Teague is helping. We have Chelsea this year, taking over the role of Ann and Joanne, since they both retired. So she's been at all our meetings and stepping right in and is very enthusiastic. All our major sponsors are back, and even one of our secondary, well, actually it was a Brown sponsor. It's my finance guy. I always throw the guilt trip at him, and he sponsored, he was 125 last year. He's sponsoring at 750 this year.
Oh, wow.
Which is one of our title sponsor levels. And well, I know he's the title sponsor of a race in Stamford where one of his offices is. So I throw that in his face. I'm like, Stanford gets a title sponsorship, but I don't get any more than that. So he just, out of the blue, he really stepped up this year. So that's terrific. I'm really excited about that. If we can keep everyone else. I hate to get a gift like that and just have it replace things that we're losing. So
Do you, what time does that race generally get over?
usually by 11, because the kids race is 9:30. The walk starts at 9:45, the run starts at 10. First runners are done by 10:15, 10:20. It's
The record's like
it's
17 minutes something, so.
It's the slower runners and the walkers you wait to come in close.
Okay, I was just wondering if you guys do like the local coupons for the downtown restaurants to try to keep people in town afterwards.
No, we haven't done that type of thing yet.
We talked about
I
it.
think we've talked about, especially because of my experience with Tackle the Trail, because they do food trucks and everything, but they're a much bigger race and
The thing with giving out coupons, people don't have any place to put them.
yeah.
You guys don't have swag bags for the
No.
runners or anything?
No, because
have
what happens is at registration, they go, hold this for me until I get back. Well, first thing you know, you go,
And even though we do the fold out,
Yeah.
so we can give credit to the sponsors, a lot of them don't even have a place for that, but
no.
we want to at least have that as a sponsor benefit.
Have
And we
pick
don't
up-
wanna get
we have
in-
to pick up the paper.
With the volunteers, it's, again, we don't have the team to put in to stuffing bags and any further, I just don't want further expenses, to be honest with you.
Mm.
I like that 95% of what we raise goes to our causes, so.
Yeah.
That's important to me. I don't, we could get fancier medals and we could do fancier shirts and we can get nicer things, lockers and things, but all that costs money and I'd rather just keep it the way we do it and give back
It's a
as
nice
much as we
race.
can.
I think it's a nice race. I mean, I don't want anyone, but it's a nice race.
Yeah, we had really great feedback last year. I don't think there was any negativity at all, knock on wood.
I am going, out there this weekend,
Oh, you're,
just at some point on the weekend.
what is NEMBA? I don't know what that
Oh,
stands
that's
for.
the New England Mountain Biking Association.
Okay, because they posted, they cleaned up a lot of trails
Well, I
at the
wanna see what
dam.
They did, yeah.
But obviously, if it's, only mountain biking might use that trail, but they said they were gonna go back and look at our trails specifically, so. Yeah, we still wanna double check, but it's nice that somebody's been out there clearing trails.
I'm just surprised because they didn't want us to do any work. They won't let us do anything.
Hmm.
So I don't know how they get permission to do stuff, so. It's interesting.
Maybe they're not
Outside, I'm
asking.
good.
No, they're asking
No,
because the
they're not.
Rangers shared their pictures of their work crew out there on the
Uh-huh.
property doing work.
Mhm.
And yet for the turkey trot, they want us to report if anything needs to be moved or down or whatever, like we find trees sometimes, obviously, but.
Hmm.
And we report it to the Rangers and. They want like a GPS location of where it is, but. but we satisfy that need for them, but. It's just as easy if we could take care of it, but they don't want us to, so I don't.
Okay, so on to, social media, PR, outreach, maps, brochures, and flyers. Facebook posts, ATV club, as you already know, I mean, they're coming down, I live on Route 197 in Quinebaug. And if you know the area, there's a real bad S curve. And then they go by my house. And it's like, there's a traffic light at the four corners, which is a half a mile up the road, and it seems like they're gonna beat that traffic light. Or we have 4 young people that have dirt bikes. They're doing wheelies down the street. And
Oh, yeah, they do, right, on,
you know,
here on Route 12 all the
it's
time.
like you can't stop them.
No, I was going up by the church in East Thompson, not East Thompson, on the Common.
Yep.
And I was like, could tell there was a bike coming towards me, and then there was some other weird light, and I'm like, what the heck is that? And it was dark.
Yeah.
There's a guy on a wheelie on the bike in front of him going by me in the other lane, and I was just like,
Yeah.
that's what the thunder light was, because it was aiming up towards the sky as opposed to where the road was. I was just like,
You know, what little do you have to scrape one of them off the road, they stop for a while, then they'll stop back again. I always said, if I hear the noise of the 911 and I'm not going outside.
I mean,
Nope.
that's-
I don't wanna see the pieces. All right, so Facebook posts,
nothing really to report. It's still as active as it is. People post stuff and share stuff. Brian does a lot more than I've been doing on there, because the turkey trot
Turkey
stuff he's
trot,
been
yeah.
sharing on there, and
Yeah.
people post stuff if they have questions about the trail, or if there's a complaint, or they tag us in things, so still pretty active. That's why I was saying we get bad press, because there's a couple people who do the whole airline trail, and they always have the pictures of, again, the water spots and this, there's a few spots that we know aren't that, the best, and there's always pictures of those. It's tough to explain in a post that it's not, we help maintain it, but all the stuff that's going on with it. As far as with the state and stuff, so, but. Nothing bad.
bike group map,
Charlie. Charlie.
You're on mute.
muted.
Yes. I've had a follow-up meeting with David from NECOG, who does their GPS mapping and who is quite confident that any maps which are provided to them, any files which are provided to them, could be provided an interface. They can provide an interface. They're working with us as a pilot to get them showing loops, showing routes, showing these kinds of things that we've been talking about all evening anyway. Um, I don't have the time on them, and I haven't been up to writing for over a year now. But the thing is that the routes need to show points of interest, the restaurants, and they need to provide the travelers with the information about what's there for them. The bike route, the state has signs which say share the road and they show a bicycle, and those are available. We've talked about the fact that the DOT seems to be on their own agenda. But these are resources that are available at the state level and probably could be done with DPW here in town. And we need to begin to look for opportunities to make this interactive. Yes, we want the bike route. We want the Z-fold maps the next time that they're updated to reflect more accurately. But it's a slow process. Anybody who knows of active bicycle riders who have GPS mapping that they use for their own purposes, and on our Thompson Trails website, Facebook page, we need again to ask people to contribute. This also ties in with what we talked about with the Wyndham Land Trust and the resource that they make available to the town. So it's all part of the same thing. Who's doing this? Who has the software? Apparently, any software now. What NECOG told me will interface with what's available at Connecticut Trail Finder website. Slightly different, but close enough they can make them work.
All right, so just to clarify, you would like something on the Facebook page asking for a bike rider who could do some volunteer GPS work for us?
Well, kind of. I would like people who are, yeah, if they're going to be riding their bikes and they have a GPS unit and they're in Thompson, where do they park their car? Where do they go around? And these are routes, I provided to NECOG quite a few base routes, but I didn't have the timing. I don't know where that notebook went. And so I don't have how long they took me, and they need to be updated. We need to optimize this. People are riding. I see a lot of people riding just by themselves, but I don't know that which ones are, let's reach out through Facebook and through the town's other Facebook presence, website presence, to ask people to be active. If you're doing it anyway, let's get some information we can use.
So my question would be is where do they send that information? Because I'll just use myself as an example. If I go for a hike, I take my Garmin with me and it's recorded on their app, for lack of a better term, through my GPS. I don't have any idea how to get it off there or send it to anybody. Where are we sending it?
Yeah, but David at NECOG, I believe, knows how, and that's a good point. It's new for us. The comment that was made way earlier about Bruce from East Coast Greenway. He knows how these organizations in other states set up, cooperation between towns and states. And so that should straighten out pretty quickly. But we've got a lot of work that hasn't been budgeted yet. We do have one of the worst stretches that needs to be fixed. Now, especially, they fixed underneath Route 6, that area that they used to call, I don't know, it's a pit or something. It was as badly eroded as anything that we've got, and for a long distance. And they've been working on fixing that up. I haven't stopped to look at that lately, but maybe I will this week. We have people that are riding in town, and if we invite them to send us their files, to whom? Yes, NECOG could take them, but I haven't cleared that detail with them.
But why don't you get an email address and that we can include in the Facebook?
Good idea. I'll do that, and I'll have that for you tomorrow.
You can text it to me.
Okay,
You have my number.
and then you can post something and we can, for some reason, I haven't been able to post anything on there, but they go in the, let somebody check it first. So, at any rate, progress is made, and thanks to Karen for nudging me along with that, because I knew I had the maps, but I had missing data. And so, thank you.
Okay, do we have reports from neighboring towns? I don't see any.
Well, we pretty much covered.
Yeah.
Connecticut trail census and counter calibration.
I've got 8 of the 10 hours done between me and Angela, and hopefully there's an event going to the Tri-State Marker Wednesday, and I'm gonna go and try to count the
Who's doing
hordes.
that?
Huh?
Who's doing?
Classic and I'm one of the new
Oh, nice.
Bill girls.
So hopefully I'll finish the 10 hours this week.
Thanks, good. I checked the calendar.
So then it's like, do we mail those sheets in? Do we have to scan them all? Find out.
Okay,
All right, on to equipment, tool status and maintenance.
Okay, I got a few things I want to talk about. So we ordered, I bought a new brush cutter attachment with the saw blade. Come with an 8-inch saw blade. So the new 10-inch saw blades are in the milk crate. It's in the in the thing. The ones that are on there are a little small. I put on a second gas tank on the brush cutter, so now we have 2 tanks that you can with a control. You can swap between the tanks instead of carrying gas the whole way. We can. It's 2.5 gallon tanks. One thing that happened on the last maintenance was the chainsaw died on me. I couldn't get it to run, kind of like what happened to you, John, that time. But then when I took it home, it seemed to run okay. So I don't know if there's a fuel problem, something. I think we need to take it down and have a guy look at it. Because without that, we use that quite often, and
We do.
so I would.
Do they do that at the place in Thompson that we
I
go
would
to?
take that down,
Down to,
Carlos.
down to Quinnipiac?
Yeah.
okay?
Oh, it works
So
in all
I'll
sorts
take
of-
that down.
It does, I don't know.
I don't know what it's gonna cost to have them look at it. And
Well, I'm gonna make a motion to
I'm gonna make a motion,
pay up to, what's a new one cost?
a new chainsaw. Oh, probably $150 or something, I don't know.
No, more than that for a new one. I'd say 300, but
So,
I don't know, a motion for 100? You think that'll cover it?
Oh,
Good.
I don't, well, what's? I have no.
I just hate to be short because we don't have another meeting till December.
Do you know what you want for a chainsaw?
Not that we need a chainsaw, we just need work done on ours.
yeah, but if it
Oh.
costs more to fix it than to buy a new one.
Well, I think that guy's an honest man and he would
Yeah.
tell us that. He's
Right.
helped us buy tools and stuff, so I'm sure he's not gonna charge us.
Yeah.
Not getting fuel.
Right.
So I'm making a motion to pay up to 90% of a cost of a new one.
All right. You second that?
I second,
All
yeah.
right.
Alright, so, and since we're buying stuff,
I think we should vote on that one before we start another one.
we did vote, okay.
Wait, who seconded?
I did.
Let's see.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do it. That way, but,
I would
They
like
could have
to
amended the motion.
Purchase a pole saw, one of those extendable long saws that you can cut branches. There's a lot of stuff that's pretty high up that's hanging down that we can't get.
And he's so tall, so I wanna get it
I
out of
looked
his way.
online for under $100, you can get a pole saw. That's something that I've been taking my own sometimes when I go down.
So you made a motion.
I made a motion to purchase a hand pulse saw.
not those, it would be a hand one.
Any seconds?
I second it.
David seconded.
Oh,
All in favor?
Apparently you
All in
can't get a
favor?
hand
All in
one.
favor?
aye.
Aye.
Yeah, they might have electric and battery
There we go,
powered
manuals.
ones.
Okay.
Yeah, I know
It's
where-
like a pole saw.
Okay.
You gotta go to-
Look at that. $100.
So there's one right, couple of them on there.
$50, $100.
They're like
$100.
Most
So
expensive
I
one.
wanna get,
Fiskars makes a nice product in general. Theirs is around 90.
so Lowe's had them for about $80, so I wanna.
Lowe's was the
Like,
first
get a
one on here.
fiberglass
This is
one
Lowe's.
that's Extendable, I don't want a whole bunch of, odd.
Things that can get lost.
So.
Is this a manual one?
Yeah.
These are manuals.
Yeah.
You can get a
Here's one.
20-volt with battery for 139.
I don't want
electric.
electric.
Yeah.
He wants a
When you
manual.
do those, they start to get really heavy. Cause you're trying to cut something that's up in the air, cause we do have a little mini chainsaw on the.
Yeah,
end of
well,
it.
it hooks on the end of the
But
weed whacker.
It doesn't go as high as the
Wow.
one that he's talking about, but
Okay.
still it's heavy.
It's
when
awesome.
You're trying to do it and it's a saw that's moving and it's just.
$100 will cover it.
Yeah.
According to the Lowe's website.
Okay, that's all I have.
Did we need a motion on that too?
We did it.
Oh,
We did. It was a little, yes, it was wonky, but it worked.
okay.
Went by fast.
It did.
Yeah. Got the Yankee game going on.
Okay, so we're on to new agenda items for future meetings.
Well, you can expect an update from the work at the train wreck park, but that's on the
Are they-
agenda anyway.
They're gonna notify you like, we're going next week for sure, or something like that.
Well,
Uh,
they sort of did.
They sort of did because
So
I
that's
reached
the
back
week.
out to make sure we were still on time. So it is the first week of November.
Right.
I mean, weather could prevent,
Right.
if all
Okay.
of a
I'm
sudden
gonna
we
put it
get
in a Facebook post, so I'll just put it up there so people
Yeah.
know that.
so you can expect that by the first full week of November, site work is gonna start up there.
The, earlier the comment was made about, restricted parking while the work is being done. And the comment was suggested a press release and Winnie. That can be really hyped up, as how Thompson is getting better for tourism. And, in the short term, you can't park a horse trailer there. That's good marketing opportunity. And then the other thing about marketing, I have suggested at Economic Development Corporation that I would be asking for money for signs that would be Airline Trail and Thompson Find Your Way and Rails Trails Conservancy Core Route, maybe East Coast Greenway, for the overpass that has gotten its metallizing as you're coming onto the North Grovernordale merge onto Route 12. I would like the Trails Committee to think in terms of co-sponsoring that as we have with some of the other things that have benefited the town and the trails. I don't know if I need a motion for that, but it's a new business or a new item. So I mentioned it here.
Well, I don't think we could consider co-sponsoring if that means a monetary sponsor without an idea of what we're spending. And I would still be hesitant on any big ticket items when our funding might be needed for the train wreck park or for stone dust or things like that. I would put that as a higher priority over a railroad trestle sign.
But my thought too also is the Northern Airline, whatever the new term was that's on there is gonna,
The Alliance.
Alliance is gonna determine what we're gonna have for
For
signage.
Right.
Right.
So, I mean, I like the ideas that Charlie set out there, but if it's not in their format, fonts expected, we might spend money right now that
Nothing.
needs to be changed.
Yeah,
Well, we won't spend money quickly, and we're probably gonna have, the guy on Sandam Road, do signs for us. Yes, they would have to be the official signage of the organization, but those are readily available as, not PDF, JPEG files, and they can load them right into a printer. The thing that I'm pointing out is that we have a blank canvas now that the state or DOT or somebody has metallized that bridge, so it's nice and clean. And so I would suggest it very prudent and low cost to put up a few signs that people will drive underneath as they get off of the highway. And
I
we're
would
not
go
making any
back to,
decisions tonight, but think about it.
Charlie, I would go back to that it has to start with whoever owns the bridge or has responsibility for the bridge. Nothing goes anyplace without that say so. You can't just hang banners off a bridge over a highway. That's got to all go through channels.
Well, I think that you. It will go
I
through.
love the idea. I'm just saying you can't just start throwing it out there without doing your research and seeing what steps have to be taken.
I've done my research.
okay.
I'll send you a hard electronic copy.
And meeting adjourned. Next meeting is December 2nd, 2024.
Move to
Very good.
adjourn.
Hey.
We are adjourned, 8:44.
Good night, everybody.
What time is it?
The